Hello, welcome to the Dynamic Man podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about the stupid mistakes I made along my journey to where I am today. And boy, did I make some mistakes. Right. I've had 2 divorces and I was just making it out. I've had probably 15 or 16 or 17 bad breakups in the last 20 years. Now that's quite an accumulation of experiences. Not to mention 3 friends of mine died in that time as well. I lost a nephew, my 2 parents died. So if you can imagine the accumulation of hurt, guilt, grief, everything accumulating over time so that it all added up. And at the end of the day, it all adds up. It really does. It knocks the shit out of us. And look, it's not as if we even realize what's going on. We think we're doing okay, but things like grief, and look, we are grieving through divorces and through breakups, there's no doubt. We've lost ourselves, we've lost our partner, we've lost our romance, we've lost our love, we've lost our life, we've lost our home, if you're living together. So there's a lot of loss. And when we throw it all into the basket that is our mind, and we hope it, we throw it in there and it falls through some cracks, disappears, and we never see it again. But, of course, that's never the way. It doesn't happen like that, much as we hope it would. We have to deal with everything as it comes up, because when we don't, it accumulates, it adds up. Before you know it, the burden is too great. The weight is incredible. It gets into your muscles. And you're walking around with a hunch on your back, you're limping, I've got a pain in your back, maybe your, the hip and the knees are starting to come to the fore in the last few years, How easy is a hip or knee replacement today? And that really, really sucks. But we have to consider how much our emotions affect our physical wellness. Our emotional, let's just call it clutter. Because, it's like a really bad baggage handler. We just throw everything on one cart and hopefully we make it to the terminal in one piece. But that's not what happens. Bags spill, everything comes together, and we end up creating limiting beliefs that we're not good enough, we're inadequate, we can't do this, we're not able to do that. And suddenly, the restrictions are real. They're very real. So I've had 2 divorces. They're not easy. They're not easy at all. In fact, it takes a lot to get over a divorce, because effectively you're starting from scratch again. That's what I had to do. After my first divorce, I left our home, I left the country, I went and looking for a fresh start in another country. I left the US, I moved to London, found some horrible work, didn't suit me, and ended up being saved by a friend who dragged me out to Aspen, Colorado, from North London, a winter in North London to a winter in Aspen, Colorado. That really gave me an uplift. And I haven't looked back since, until, well, my next divorce, which, you know, after living in Ireland, she was a Spanish girl, living in Ireland and Spain, sharing time in both countries. We moved to Hawaii, and man, did it go wrong fast there. We didn't even last 1 year on Maui, and the whole thing came crashing down. Man, let me tell you, if you have a bad breakup in paradise, it's very, very hard to rebound. You're thinking, how can this happen to me in paradise? Why did paradise kick my ass? No, it took me a lot of work to get over that one. But when I look at it, the writing had been on the wall. And when I look at the other relationships I was in, wondering why different women were saying the same thing to me, it's like driving down the road and everyone else on the road is an asshole. But maybe when you look in the mirror, you're the asshole. And that's what occurred to me. Maybe I was being the asshole. Because if different women were saying the same things at different stages of different relationships, could they all be wrong? Well, the probability is I thought they were. 100%. 100%. But what if they weren't? What if they were right? Well, let's just say if there was a percentage of them right, 40%, 50%, 60%, that's still a lot of food for thought. So that's what I did. I added up all these years, all these breakups, divorces, deaths, loss, grief, and I had an unbearable weight. Not until someone told me during our breakup in Maui, a counsellor, we went to counselling, and he took one look at me and he said, "You're still grieving." I was like, whoa. The load lifted right then and there. Now it didn't make things any better for a while, but at least I understood what I was fighting, what I was up against, what was causing this incredible agony inside me, because I lost my power to communicate. I sank really deep into myself. The grief grabbed a hold of me. It really, really grasped me. It held me underwater. My ex constantly asked me to talk, explain what was going on, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. I didn't know what was going on. And then it turned out she was going through something similar, grief. We had no support system in a new environment. Suddenly, it all just exploded, imploded, and that was that. I haven't seen her since. That was 10 years ago, 9 years ago, right now. I left Maui, and before I knew it, I was shacked up in British Columbia, probably dropped 100 degrees overnight. I went snowboarding. That's always been my answer to these problems. But even still, as I was snowboarding up in BC, I thought the eyeballs would freeze my head. I cried so much. Tears. If tears were snow, I'd have covered a mountain that winter. It was like a parallel universe. That stung. Even though I love snowboarding, that really stung. So I made a lot of mistakes, jumping in and out of relationships without doing the work, without figuring out my grief, my loss, myself, what I wanted, where I was going, who I wanted to do it with. It seemed like every year there was some knockout blow. And you just pick yourself up and carry on. Carry on like nothing happened. Even though, you lose friends, you lose parents, you lose people you love, women you love. There's so much grief in all of that. And I just didn't deal with it. I carried that weight in my head, in my shoulders, in my back, in my face, in my chest. Some days you feel like you couldn't even breathe or walk another step. I was in chronic pain after Maui for I don't know how many years. And I believe that really was like from carrying the burden. Why was I carrying the burden? Why didn't I deal with it? Why didn't I have a closer look at what was going on? Why didn't I take the tap on the shoulder from the universe? Why didn't I just pay attention to all of that? No, I just carried on regardless, plowing ahead. Getting stuck in, finding someone else, not doing the work, not going through the process, the grieving, accepting and understanding that, for who I was at that moment in time, at each juncture of my life, that was the best that I was doing with what I had. And now, doing the work. I have to say, okay, it's not easy, but I tell you what, the load I'm carrying has been like reduced to like a bunch of peanuts, nothing. And I feel energetic, alive, dynamic, revitalized. So I know if anyone comes into my life right now, they're seeing the best version of me in my whole life. Everyone that sees that. I'm reconnecting with friends I haven't seen in anything like from 30 years to 6, 7, 8 years. The reconnection tour, I'm calling it. And that feels really good because I know I've had an impact and an influence positively on people's lives. And even the women that rejected me or broke my heart or got rid of me, I know each and every one of them has been positively affected and impacted and influenced by me over the course of the last 20 years. So, what am I talking about when I talk about the dynamic man? I've been through the ringer, man. I've been through it. I've been mangled, I've been spat out, I've been kicked. It's like that movie Idiocracy, where the comedy show is like, how many ways can you kick someone in the nuts? And that's what I put myself through. I put myself through so many kicks in the nuts without thought, without planning, without consciousness, without awareness. It just happened because maybe I was happy just to get lucky with some of these girls, or I just didn't do the the work I needed to do to clear the clutter in my head. I call it, it's like a psychological cold plunge. Getting rid of this shit. Because when you do that, you find yourself. You even like yourself. You like yourself a whole lot more. And that voice in your head, wow. Every now and then it does make a cameo appearance. You know how it likes to kick you when you make a mistake, or you know yourself, that inner critic. But I have so much gratitude in my life right now. I have so much valuable friends. I know what I'm about. I have a clear head. I'm very conscious about my decisions. I don't get involved where I don't need to be getting involved with the wrong woman. I can see that right away. I'm finally using my experience in a good way. And I'm not getting back into relationships just despite the previous one, to show her what she's missing. How's she even seen that? But it's so much of a motivation for us guys to show someone that we are valuable by getting back into a relationship as fast as we can. Running away from the previous one without doing the work, without grieving, without giving yourself time to get over that. So that winter when I was in BC, I'll just tell you, I'll give you an example of the commitment I have made to myself. We were out on Christmas, no, New Year's Eve, in Roslyn, near Red Mountain in BC. The town is probably 3 miles away from the mountain. I was staying in a friend's place right on the mountain, and on New Year's Eve we went out, we had some fun, we visited a number of establishments, we had experienced all the gigs, and at about 5 o'clock in the morning, a friend offered me his couch, his sofa to sleep on. And I was thinking, I don't know. It's only like 3 miles up the road, but it was dumping snow right now at that time. It was a blizzard, a snowstorm. And I had a 3-mile walk, probably a vertical climb of 1,000 feet, 300 meters, at 5 in the morning after being out all night. And I said, do you know what, no, it's going to be good snow tomorrow. What would it take for me to get back to my own bed through a blizzard? When the snow was driving horizontally, I couldn't even look up. As I walked up the mountain, I don't know how long it took me, probably about an hour and a half. But I knew I was coming. So I got about 3 hours sleep, and I was on the mountain for 10 o'clock in the morning because I knew it was going to be about 8 or 10 inches of fresh snow. That's what I wanted. That's my medicine. And I chased it up a mountain at 6 in the morning, walking through a blizzard, no one else out there, New Year's Day. That's the commitment. That's the level of commitment I've given to myself. And that's the level of commitment I give to my coaching. So if that sounds enticing to you, why don't you DM me, book an energizer call, let's have a chat. And look, there's no obligation, but let's see if this is something that interests you. Because if I can do the work, if I can survive in the cold, my dream actually was to live in paradise, and I ended up in a valley in BC that was called Paradise. No, it wasn't as warm as Maui. The snow was a lot deeper. It was a lot more fun. So this is something that really speaks to you, resonates with you. DM me and let's get on a call to see what is possible. No obligation. And if this has really resonated with you, like and subscribe and help me build a community of strong men in their 40s and 50s so we can all come together, revitalize, re-energize, regenerate, reinvigorate each other with the stories and the experiences we've been through. Because, believe me, we are an age group that is more important to this world than we could ever imagine. Believe me, you know it. Cool. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned.